life doesn't end because you made that choice to forbear that payment out of necessity, right?
So if someone has a mortgage forbearance right now, they know they took it during, the pandemic, and they're wondering, can I still sell my house? What next? What's my steps? What would you recommend they do right away? All right, Kristin, you recently came across where you went on an appointment, you took the listing, you sold the property.
Yeah.
Where now we find out, oh wow, you have this mortgage forbearance left over from the COVID era that the seller didn't realize they owed.
Yeah.
Is that all fair?
That's fair. Actually, Joe, I've heard this a few times about these COVID forbearances. There was no money exchanged, right? So my clients are looking at me saying, I didn't take a loan, right? But what they did do is they stopped making their payments for a defined amount of time. And in this particular client's circumstances, he put the home into the forbearance that was offered during the pandemic, and his mortgage servicer continued to allow him to roll that forbearance forward based upon his own unique financial hardship, right? And now it's time to sell the house, and we order the title commitment, and we find out that the COVID forbearance has happened, and we have to sort it all out. And the actual forbearance was held by HUD, so we had to go through HUD to track down the payoff, know how to navigate that system, operate it, make sure that his actual mortgage balance coupled with the forbearance were in line with what we were selling the property for, to make sure he could in fact sell without bringing money to the closing table.
So if someone has a mortgage forbearance right now, they know they took it during, the pandemic, and they're wondering, can I still sell my house? What next? What's my steps? What would you recommend they do right away?
I think the first step is to figure out what type of forbearance you took. A lot of lenders are coming back and saying balloon payment due and you're paying up, right? And other lenders are attaching that forbeared amount to the back of your loan and almost making it like a junior lien. So maybe you don't have to touch it today, you don't have to catch up on the payments, but when you go to sell, they're gonna want their money.
Okay, so first we're gonna understand what type, and then second, what would you say is second?
I think the second is to figure out if it's due now, if it's tacked on as a junior lien. How do you evidence that? Where do you get the official piece of paper that tells you how much money you have to pay off? Because it may no longer live with, I don't know, Flagstar Bank or Bank of America. It could be a separate entity that's holding that lien.
Right. And then as we find out how much it is, then that allows us as your realtor to run you a seller net sheet, so you know based on what we project the sale price will be, all the transactional costs associated with selling, what is your walkaway money? Are you above water? Are you underwater? How much equity do you have? How much do you have for the next house? Right now we can start to game plan what your transition to whatever next is for you based on facts, right? So if we find out what type and how much, then we're able to move forward. Anything to add there?
I think that's about it. I mean, life doesn't end because you made that choice to forbear that payment out of necessity, right? And now it's just figuring out what to do to wipe it out.
And for us, we come across seconds all the time, right? HELOCs, financing for pools. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that is related to this. This is just a new aspect based on the conditions of what it was a handful of years ago, and those people are now, some of them are looking to sell. So if you have one and you want some help, or you're curious and have questions, go ahead, reach out. We'd love to help walk you through that process. And we have a concierge experience up to 12 months in advance to kind of walk you through these things, to get your ducks in a row to get ready to sell. So go ahead and reach out. Love to talk to you. Thanks.